take my notes from at the table. Will it fall if I bring it closer? No. We've got this. Okay. That's my jam, though. Hello, hello. Welcome. Oh, my goodness. Clarice, how you doing, my love? So happy to have you here. I love this. I'm gonna wait a few minutes before I get started. Hi there. Happy Thursday. Oh yeah, it's Friday Eve. Okay. All right, so good evening and welcome everybody who is able to join me this evening. Listen, today we're going to have a really good conversation about identity. It's kind of a difficult topic, to be honest with you, because, we all have different things that shape our identity, but also different things that may cause us to lose what we feel our identity is. So first, let me introduce myself for those of you who are here for the first time, or those of you who may be watching this on the replay. I'm Dr. Nicole J., your confidence coach, helping you to discover ways to increase your confidence so that you can go after the life that you desire and you deserve. So as we're talking today, what I would like to start doing is leaving you guys with a quote that may have spoken to me or kind of relates to the topic that we're talking about. So the one I have for today is, "It's never too late to be who you might have been." And that's by George Eliot. I picked that quote because when we're talking about identity, sometimes we feel like it's too late to change, too late to revamp ourselves, to decide to become someone different, to decide to become the person that we've desired to be. Maybe you wanted more courage and you didn't know how to achieve that. It's never too late to learn that, to develop that. Maybe there's a skill that you've always wanted to do, a job you've wanted to have that you had to learn things for. It's never too late. Never too late to do that. So that quote spoke to me and I wanted to share it with you. But today we're talking about reclaiming your identity. And where this topic came from, of course, was from my ebook, which is called You Are Enough. And the purpose of us talking about this today is because at some point, some people will call it identity crisis, right? But at some point, we all have gone through a time period, whether it was the loss of a family member, whether it was the loss of a relationship, whether it was friendships that ended, whatever the case may be. We may have had experiences that have made us question, what do I want? Who am I now? Because every relationship has an impact on who we are, our mannerisms, how we interact with other people, the types of conversations that we engage in. So with that being said, we're talking about identity. So that's your set of beliefs or qualities that make up who you are. That makes the difference between you, Trey, and me, Nicole. Our identity is based on the traits that we've gained and acquired over the course of our lives. So of course, when we're kids, we also have an identity, but we may not be as aware of that identity as we are as adults, right? Our beliefs as kids are not as shaped as they are when we're adults. And so your personality, your character, your interests, your culture, all of those things impact what your identity is, how you identify, what you claim to be, what you say you are, what you say you're good at. And the thing about that is all of those things are things that can change. Your interests can change. You may identify, I'll use myself. When I was in school, like high school, I identified with musicians more. I identified as a stepper. Like that was me. But as an adult, I don't identify with that as much. I'm not, if somebody were to ask me, hey, like, weren't you that girl that used to step? Yes, I was. But now I identify differently. And so sometimes we always determine our own identity, but sometimes we take on the identity that other people try to put on us, the titles, the labels. And that's not always the thing that makes us happiest, right? Somebody can put a label on you and you can decide that that's not you. That's okay, right? So some things that I want you guys to think about are, like when we talk about your personal identity, is how do you define yourself? Have you defined yourself? Have you decided who you are, what you want to be, your own purpose? Do you know what that is? Who are you when nobody's looking? Your character. What is that? You have to define that for yourself. And it's when we allow other people to define it for us that we've lost our way when it comes to our own identity. So I know a lot of times especially in, the Black community, we don't want to be labeled. We don't want to be told that we're this or we're that, or assumed to be a certain way because of the color of our skin. It's the same thing when it comes to your personal identity. You should not want to just take on whatever title somebody else wants to give you. So another question is, how do you relate to others? Your social relationships. Are you aggressive? Are you passive aggressive? Are you just passive? Those things matter because how you interact with others will determine how much you allow them to impact what your identity is. So for a long time, I had, and what I can do with you guys is really just tell you how I've been impacted, what has kind of shaped and what has affected me, right? And so for a long time, I thought that in relationships, period, whether it was my family, whether it was my closest friends, that I had to be a certain way. Like, because that's what they expected of me. Oh, you're quiet, Nicole. Yeah, but in certain situations, but people expected that all the time. Oh, you're perfect. Of course, nobody's perfect. But when somebody tells you that, now you place that expectation on yourself to not make mistakes, to not look a certain way, to not look like you don't have it together. And if you allow that to follow you, if you allow that to determine your path in life, at some point you start to feel stuck and you feel like you've cheated yourself. And I did feel like that for a very long time, that I cheated myself out of experiences because I was trying so hard to be what other people expected me to be. And so another question for you is, how do you feel about yourself? So not only how do you define yourself, but how do you feel about yourself? Your self-worth. Like when you talk about yourself to other people, if somebody were to compliment you on a job well done, do you deflect and say, oh yeah, well, Ashley did a better job than I did? Or are you okay with people complimenting you and speaking highly of you because you already do that to yourself? You already tell yourself you're a winner. You already tell yourself that everything that you need is inside of you. And that's an important thing for you to realize when it comes to your identity, is that no matter what other people speak on you or try to speak over you, you have the last word of who you are. And when you give that up, when you decide that what you feel about yourself doesn't matter, I would say that's when it's time for an intervention. That's when it's time for you to revamp who you are, rediscover who you are. And nobody can do that for you. So if you feel like today that you've lost your own identity, maybe you feel like you have poured out all that you can pour out. And I'll get into in a second, like the things that can pull at us that cause us to forget our purpose or forget the things that make us happy, the things that we identify with. So, for instance, for a long time in my life, I was Sean's sister. Sean was my older brother, right? Or Tanisha's sister, or Teresa's daughter. Or now I'm Joseph's mom. You know, like all of those things. Oh, she's the pharmacist. And those are not bad characteristics or labels for people to put on you, but you have to know for yourself that you're more than that. I'm more than someone thinking that all I do is what I do. That all I do is who I'm related to, or who I am is who I'm related to. Who I am is what I've done in the past. For some of you, divorce is a label. A divorcee is a label that you have on you, that you've placed on yourself, or other people have placed on you. But that's not who you are. That doesn't express even a little bit the totality of your persona or who you could be. So that's the reason why when you feel like you've lost your way, your identity is one of the first things, because it encompasses your self-worth. It encompasses the way you speak to yourself, how you think about yourself, how you define yourself. So a few more questions that I have for you guys. Do you spend time on a regular basis reflecting on what you really want, what you enjoy, and what you need? Do you ask yourself questions like, what is it that makes me smile? What is it that when I was a kid, I've always wanted to do? What is it that I feel like I've lost my way from? Oh, I used to be an artist until I got into this relationship, or until I lost this person in my life. I used to love music until this happened. I used to really enjoy being around people. I got energy from being around people until this happened. Do you spend time thinking about those things? I would definitely encourage you to, as I'm asking these questions, go back later on and write those things down. What do I love? What do I enjoy? And what do I feel like I need to be fulfilled in my life? Have you tried to be everything for everyone else, but then you're unsure of who you are at the end of the day? Are you seeking approval from other people because you have given them that power? Maybe it's somebody of influence in your life that has decided that you won't succeed at the thing that maybe you're trying a new venture, and all you have is negativity in your ear telling you can't do it. And you've heard it for so long that you start to believe that you cannot be successful. You have to decide to be the loudest voice that you hear. And with you being the loudest voice that you hear, you got to be saying things that's going to remind you of who you really are. So if you're not sure, then it's time for you to rediscover that. Another question for you is, have you lost sight of your passion? Reading is something I love to do. And of course, for those of us with kids, we know that sometimes we don't have all the time in the world to read like we would want to. And that's a very small example, but we can get so wrapped up in what other people need and what they want, and them pulling at us and determining what we're going to do and who we're going to be, that we lose sight of the things that we're passionate about. Are you a chef? Do you love cooking? But because of some setbacks that you had, now you don't quite identify with that anymore. That may happen to you, and that's, it is not unreasonable for us to feel like sometimes we're lost when it comes to major situations and major changes that happen in our lives. Relationships are major. It doesn't matter if you were casual. If you were dating someone, or if you were married, if you lost a parent or a family member, those types of relationships have major impacts on your life. So you have to remember to give yourself grace first and foremost. To beat yourself up because you haven't achieved, because you haven't become. As I said in the beginning, it's never too late to become who you want to become, or who you could have become. You're still here, right? You're still breathing, right? If you hear the sound of my voice, it's not too late. And so, ways to regain your identity as we come to a close tonight. And I appreciate everyone who's left a comment. I love comments. I love the conversation, because I'm not here to talk to myself. I'm not here because I like hearing my voice. Though I can't hear your voice because, we're not face to face. But I enjoy hearing what's on your heart, what's on your mind, and how you feel about the topic we're talking about. Also, if you're watching this on replay, please feel free to still comment and comment replay, so I know that you joined us later on. So, ways to regain your identity. First, you have to redefine who you are and who you want to be. And how do you do that? You might be asking that. Well, in order to redefine, first you have to define where you are right now. What is it now that you're doing that's not bringing you joy, that doesn't align with your purpose? Do you know what your purpose is? Do you know what it's not? Sometimes you have to start there. I don't know exactly what it is, but I know what it's not. I think that's an excellent place to start. 2, take time for yourself. That's the place where you figure out who you are. Listening to your thoughts, listening to how you think about things, how you perceive the world, how you perceive your situation and your circumstances, how you perceive your life, the direction of your life, and the impact that you want to make in the world. Most of that happens when you're alone and by yourself. Take time for yourself. That whole self-care, super important. And then lastly, start doing and discovering what makes you truly happy. Not just something to pass the time. Not something that you're okay at, but I don't really feel any kind of way about it. But things that make you light up when you think about it. Make you light up when you talk about it. You got to rediscover what that is. And then start moving in the direction to make that happen, to make that a reality for you. The people in our lives can impact who we are, but they can't determine and decide who we are. So I appreciate you guys joining me today. If you have not yet purchased my book, You Are Enough, Rebuilding Your Confidence After Divorce, please go over to www.bookriot.com boldvibesllc.com, and go ahead and purchase the book. I'm gonna promise you that it's gonna bless you. If you're wondering, oh, she just wants me to buy her book. I do want you to buy the book because it helped me, and I can promise you that it'll have some nuggets in there that will help you. But you guys have an amazing rest of your week. I look forward to talking with you again next Tuesday. Love you guys. Bye.